Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today is a really exciting one because I will be showing you a little bit of our winter training, and it's kind of fun because both mares are complete opposites. Ruby is very spicy, very forward, whereas Rowan is lazy and takes a lot more leg to move forward. So I wanted to show you how I motivate Rowan and how I create relaxation in Ruby. I'm riding both mares in a rope halter hackamore. It's really important to me with both of my mares that I break it up and switch between a snaffle bridle and a hackamore because they both are very sensitive, and I want to make sure they remain sensitive and confident in the contact and in the frame. I think a helpful tool is definitely using a hackamore when you can, and I don't do anything super strenuous or big in the video. It's mostly filling in any gaps in their education, and I think that's what winter training really is about for me. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you what I like to do to create relaxation. Not every ride looks like this, but sometimes I do just take a ride and have that be the main focus of the ride. So I'll be just doing simple walk, trot, canter with Ruby, doing a little bit of lateral work here and there, and then teaching her how to rate her own speed. Rowan is very lazy, and she doesn't really look lazy from an outsider's perspective, but sitting on her, she takes a lot of leg to move her forward. So I'm going to show you this ride is focusing on getting her off my leg and motivating her to move forward. We also played around with trying to get a bit more expression in the trot. So that's pretty much what we work on, and I hope that you enjoy the video. So something I work on every time I go under saddle for either of the girls is making sure they stand at the mounting block. And this was tricky for Ruby because at first she just wanted to walk off every single time. So I'm really happy with the progress we've made in this area. And as I go through the rides, I'm just kind of picking apart pivotal moments throughout the rides because each ride was between 25 and 35 minutes. If you would like to see a longer format video, please do let me know where I don't cut anything out. I try to leave all of the ugly bits in here too, just so that you can see what we're struggling with and how I am trying to address it. What I like to do in the beginning of Ruby's rides, whenever I have the time, is to just let her walk on a loose rein and let her kind of see the arena, see the space, and almost be tempted to jig and move into a trot, because that was a huge issue that we've been dealing with, is constantly jigging and not really stepping through in the walk. This is just a lot of progress that we've made in the past couple weeks. What I've been doing every time she breaks gait is just doing a tight circle to the inside of the arena and then activating my inside leg to push her hindquarters, her haunches around, and so she steps through. When her legs get a bit sticky here and slows down to a walk, that's when I take the pressure off and I return to what we were doing, so just walking on the rail. And because I'm trying to teach her not to jig, I only do this when she breaks gait. Not if she moves forward and gets too forward in the walk, because she's not quite there rating her speed. It's more keeping the set gait. So it has to be really black and white when they're babies. This has been really helpful, just making sure I let her make a mistake by moving into a trot and then I correct it. So here she's kind of blowing out through her nose and I'm seeing a bit more relaxation. This technique really has helped her a lot because anything else, adding more pressure, is just kind of creating more anxiety around the whole concept. When I would add pressure, she would get more anxious and want to go more forward. So I want her to be super sensitive. I want her to accept the leg. So this is a way I can put leg on and have her respond laterally instead of forward. And I've gone a few rides just doing this, but for like 20 minutes. I'll just walk her every single time she jigs. I turn her and I allow her to make that adjustment and learn from her mistake. And then here I'll also, at some point in the ride, I like to do a very loose rein walk where I just kind of hold on to the buckle or the very end of the reins and let her stretch, let her turn her head anywhere and see her surroundings. And I just kind of guide her around. If she starts speeding up way too much, then I'll just do a little loop or a little figure 8 to get her to maintain and rate her speed in this way. And then the same thing if she goes into a trot or jigs at all, I'll just do another tight circle, add the inside leg, get her to step over. So here I was a little bit late, but she slowed down anyways. And you can kind of see on her expression, me asking her to slow down in this way isn't elevating her anxiety at all. It's just kind of helping her regulate her energy. Moving into the trot, she has a very similar issue to her walk. So she gets really set on her trot and starts building and building and building. So if I give her the rein to stretch, she gets very forward and then almost goes into a canter. So anytime I really try to get her to stretch over her back, lower her head, and then if she starts rushing, I'll just do a 10-meter circle, however many times it takes until she starts to slow down. You can also, I'll do like a little figure 8, change rein, and just redirect her energy so that she's not going faster and faster. This one, I don't really need to regulate which gait she's in. It's just about her rating her own speed and being more responsible for maintaining the pace that I've set her at. And this takes a lot of patience, just making sure that her relaxation is top priority. And even if it's a frustrating process to have to circle again and again, I know it's really important for her. And I can see in the ride how much that does help her maintain her pace. And here she has a little bit trouble bending to the inside on her right. She's a little more stiff on this direction. So I just add a little more inside leg. And sometimes when I do add leg, she thinks forward. So again, I'll do another circle, add a little bit more leg so she doesn't think forward every time that I put my leg on. And then another issue that we're working on is going from trot to walk without jigging and then walk to trot. And transitions basically are pretty difficult for her and her anxiety. So this was really good. I like to see her stretching down after the trot and not jigging. Even though the walk looks super fast, this is really good for her. And I like to see her reaching down in the frame to stretch, but I don't want her getting rude about it. So I'll definitely close my hands over the reins to make sure she can't pull the reins out of my hands. So here in the transition, she loves to just pop her head up and invert her back a little bit, but I'm not gonna mess too much with it. I'd like her to settle in the trot more so today for the sake of her exercise. than working on too many transitions and getting her anxiety elevated. So in the canter too, she's actually quite balanced, and this is her best gait in my opinion because she regulates her pace, she keeps a good tempo, and she's very balanced. So this one I don't need to manage as much. Sometimes if she's stretching, I will have to do a 10-meter circle just to bring her back if she starts getting a bit flat and forward. But for the most part, I'll do a little bit of a spiral in to a 10-meter circle in the middle, back out to a 20-meter, and then just work on lateral movement in the circle so that she accepts the leg without rushing. But I'm really happy with her canter work, and I think that's definitely her favorite gait too. She really loves the rope halter. I think that since incorporating the rope halter in our riding, her anxiety levels have gone way down, and I'm really happy with her progress. So here she's stretching a little bit, which I'm really excited about, but then she starts getting super forward. So I'll bring the reins back up and do a little half halt in my body just to bring her back. And then the transition downward, I think, was managed pretty well. And she loves to offer a bit more of a stretch from the canter to the trot, which is really nice, but then she also gets a bit rushy. So I'll do a couple more little circles, make sure that she's not jigging when I go back down to the walk, because that's another thing that we are working on is after canter work and trot work, she just wants to trot. She just wants to keep trotting. So I'll circle, put my leg on, and then get her to settle down before going back into her favorite gaits. I'll just work on the same thing on both sides. Sometimes she'll get a little bit fussy with the contact, even with the hackamore, so I'll just make sure to set those boundaries, but then get very soft in my elbows so she doesn't lock up. And here she was rushing, so I just did a little circle. She slowed herself down, and really all of this can be applied to any of the gaits, and it's been really helpful for her. Back down to a trot, back up into the canter, and here I'm just working on pushing those transitions a little bit without her anxiety coming up. So if she starts rushing, I'll do a small circle in the middle, and then I'm gonna trot, push her out, and allow her trot to get a little bit bigger, a little bit stretchy, but I'm not gonna let her start rushing and ignoring me. So for Ruby, I was really happy with her ride, and I think she had a lot of really good moments. I hope this was helpful for anybody who has a forward pony, or an anxious horse too. I think this has been really helpful for her. Now for Rowan, I had mentioned she is very lazy. This is something that we've been struggling with since we met 8 years ago. And she's just, you know, one of those horses that is slower. And I love that about her, but it is something that I do need to work on consistently, knowing this about her. So something that I've been prioritizing the past couple years with Rowan in our partnership is making sure I do not nag her with my lower leg, and that I do not carry a dressage whip when I ride. So for her, she's a very sensitive horse, but she is just really lazy and easy to nag with your leg. So I try to use every opportunity to keep my leg completely off of her. So when my leg does make contact with her sides, it means more than if I were to always have my leg on. She starts to ignore it because she's very easy to do that on. So in the warm-up, I like to do a lot of stretching for her. She carries most of her tension in her neck. And I'll just do a little bit of easy lateral work, doing some serpentine patterns and changing bend in the middle, having a bit of a lower frame, and thinking forward. So here she looks forward, but to me, when I put my leg on, nothing happens. She kind of just stays this pace. So what I'll do to fix this right in the beginning is go into the canter when she's warmed up enough to do so, and that kind of inspires her when I come back down to hold that energy and to keep that forward motion without needing to use any sort of artificial aids to motivate her. I think this is a really important thing for getting your horse to think forward, just using a lot of transitions and getting them light off your leg in those transitions so that they respect the leg. So I do a little bit of canter work here in the warm-up, and I don't expect her to be super off my leg in the beginning of the ride anyways, just because she's kind of waking up, and I don't want to have that expectation of her because I know her well enough now that this is pretty normal for her. So I'll do a little stretchy in the canter as well. I love to stretch her over her back. I know it feels really good for her and she enjoys it. And back down to the trot, she carries that energy and the impulsion into the downward transition, which is nice. Here we're just gonna walk a bit and then we're gonna do our trot work. So here she went off the leg fairly good, but she still feels a bit lazy when I do add the legs. So what I love to do, which has helped us more than anything else, is I'll bring her back to little micro transitions where she almost walks. I add my leg, I get lighter in my seat, and then I push her into a forward trot. So she almost walks here, and then I add leg, and you can either come out of the saddle, rise the trot, or you can sit the trot and just get lighter in your seat. This acts kind of as two exercises. First, it gets her off the leg. Second, it adds more expression in the trot. These micro transitions are really helpful in both ways. So I just do this for a little while until I feel like she is using herself and she's responding to the leg. Here it's really fun. I think she really enjoys the hackamore because she feels really good in my hands here. Now in the canter, she's usually pretty balanced, like she holds herself forward pretty good, but I still like to wake her up a little bit, ask for a little bit of extension, forward movement, and then I'll bring her back. The transitions within the gait are so important for her to get her to use herself and to respond to the leg within the specific gait. Another exercise that does help her move off the leg and become more responsive is canter walk transitions, and she is such a good girl for these. I love doing these because it gets her to sit back. Just like the micro transitions in the trot, she'll come up more and it almost feels like you're popping a wheelie and getting very collected. So the point in all of these little exercises, getting her off the leg and getting her to use herself correctly, is to set her up for the next movement, and I don't really ask for much lateral work until I have her off of my leg and hand. So then I can offer a little bit of shoulders in. I know she's gonna be off my leg, light in the hand, and using herself better. So after doing condensed work like this, I love to end all of our rides with a stretchy trot and a stretchy long walk cool down. I think that's very, very important, especially if your horse carries tension in the neck or back. But thank you again so much for watching another video, and please do let me know if you want to see more ridden content, and if you'd like to see more formal training type of videos on what we're working on, please do let me know. I love to hear your feedback, and as always, I really appreciate you watching my videos. I will see you in the next video.